What's up everybody, we're back with another DIY project. This time I'm working on my 2010 Honda Odyssey, parked right out there. This thing's got 172,000 miles on it, so I basically do what I can to keep it on the road because I enjoy having no car payments. We bought this back in 2010 with 4,000 miles, so I intend to keep it for as long as possible. And what we're replacing today is these center rollers here, and you can see I painted in the past because one of these rollers failed back in 2014. 4 years after purchasing it, it failed because I had no idea that you had to replace them, and it literally fell off and scratched the heck out of the side of the van. So I painted it just to stop rust. But every 4 to 5 years you got to replace those rollers. I've never had to replace the top or the bottom supports, but always the center. This door actually is working fine still, but this side is not. Yeah, right there. It stops right there, and then you got to help it the rest of the way. So these are automatic doors, so if I put it on automatic, push the button, it basically would stop right here and then close again, or try to close again. And this right here is what happens when the rollers fail. So I've got the new parts right here, and we're going to get into it. I'm also going to be replacing a couple of air filters as well. So cabin filter, a little tricky to get into. You got to take apart your glove box to get to this. So stay tuned to the end to catch how to change these filters as well. So this piece right here is what we are going to be replacing today. This is the new part. So you can see how that matches up. And all these rollers sit up inside a track there and support the weight of the door as it rolls back and forth. But these little wheels here, these wear parts, wear out and fail, and then you get metal on metal and it doesn't want to spin. And you also have a roller bearing here, so that bearing could fail. Once we get it apart, we'll see exactly what failed, and I'll show you. And even though it's only one side that failed, you definitely want to replace them in pairs and not just do one side at a time, because I guarantee if you only do one side, in about a month the other side's going to fail too. It is a bit of a process to do this job, but it is easy. So first thing you do is take out the tail lights. So we're basically going to work on both sides at the same time just to get this done faster, but I'm going to take out both tail lights. You want to take a screwdriver and pop these little clips out like so to expose screws back in there. Then obviously remove the screws. And now that the screws are out, you basically slide the tail light out. It kind of has a clip in it back here, so it doesn't come out very easily. You've got to give it a little tug to disengage that clip there from that hole there, but a little tug and it comes out. And then you unclip the wiring for the tail lights like this and hold on to it so it doesn't hit the ground. Now that we got that out, we can access this bolt here, because this whole cover piece needs to come off. Now that we have access to that bolt, the first thing you want to remove is a little screw that is on the other side. Hopefully we can see it here. So right back in here is a screw that holds the front part of that cover on, and you want to take a screwdriver and get that out, and be very careful that you don't drop it. Once it's out, I grab this little retractable magnet I have to grab the screw so I don't drop it. This thing comes in handier than you could imagine, and if the magnet doesn't work, a pair of needle nose pliers does the trick. And now we're going to remove this bolt to finish taking off this cover piece here. It's very easy to do. You kind of want to use two hands to remove this piece. It slides forward and then lifts out. So there's little brackets that keep it in place. See these grooves right here along the track? They line up with pieces inside there that hold it into place. The next thing we're going to do is remove these bolts here. That is a 13 millimeter. So I don't remember if I said it or not, but this bolt here is a 10. These are 13, and once we take these out, this door is no longer supported. So you do have to support your door, and luckily for me, this jack stand is the perfect height to do that. And the last little click here, it's hard to do with one hand. I'm a little bit out of frame because I need two hands to do this. So lift up on the door, the last click of this jack stand makes it the perfect height. So right now you got a little bit of tension on the door, not a lot. You don't want to bind these bolts as you're trying to remove them, so you don't want too much pressure lifting up on the door, but I have the perfect amount with this jack stand right here. And now we're going to remove these bolts right here. There's one bolt. I'm just pushing forward on the door a little bit to finish unscrewing this one because it wants to slide back a little bit. And we're going to see what the door wants to do once we get it completely out. So now that that's loose, the door is staying in place. Now we do need a little room to work, so I'm going to carefully pull this door out with the stand because you need enough room for this to go like that. There you go. There's your roller. Now if you care about your car, you can put some tape here, painter's tape, to protect your finish. My car has scratches everywhere, so I don't really care. But you're going to need to lean things like this against your paint, so put some painter's tape up if you don't want to scratch it up. And to remove this cable, you basically grab a hold of it with pliers, turn it. You basically need to pull this back to be able to work on it cleaner, but this little piece, I'll show you better when well, I can show you on this end, maybe. It's hard to get the right camera angles because it's a tight space. Here's the old one. See these rollers? That's shot. There's nothing left of it. That one's broken. This one's still good, but these are not. Basically this here, I'm trying to get the right angle, pushes up and in, and then the cable swivels around, and that's how that gets held into place. So you need a pair of pliers to basically grab this and spin it to get it out properly. Now that we have this out, I'm comparing it with the new one here. So these are your new rollers, these are the trash rollers, and that's why it starts binding. That thing just comes right off. Toast. But it does not come with this hinge piece here, so you do need to reuse this unless you want to order a new one. But I've never had to replace these, only these, and these two pieces are held together with this pin right here. So you need to get that little clip off, that retaining clip first, and then you need to set up something like this, two sturdy things, blocks of wood, brick, whatever you have, to basically straddle each half to be able to pound that pin out. So in order to get this clip out, you need something small and pointy, because I don't have the right tools. But you just basically need to get right inside one of these grooves alongside that pin and take it out, just like that. Set that aside, and now your pin is good to go. I am going to spray this with a little grease first to help lube it up so it can drive out easier, because I feel that resistance on there. I got this set up on the blocks here, so you basically want to position your pin over the opening between your blocks so that when you hit the pin, it has somewhere to go. Look how easy that was. A little WD-40 and the pin comes right out. Twist it around a little bit and she comes right out. So now this is all trash, and this is what we're saving. So basically this is the hinge we just took off that we're saving. This is the new piece, and you want to make sure that that spring is engaged there, because that's a guide to help it. Oh, it just spun past where I wanted it. So you basically want to position it in the same way it came off. Slide that pin back up in place, wiggle things around. See these little threaded, there's a little grooves right there that will actually help seat this thing in place. Tap, tap, tap. Good to go. And then you gotta push this little clip back on. Sometimes you need pliers for that. So you just grab one side of the pin and the other side of the retaining ring, and that's on. Now you've just built your hinge. Good to go. Before we put this in place, I am going to give these a little shot of oil. Hopefully make them last a little longer, and it'll get on these wheels here, and then it'll lubricate the track as well. So it should be smooth sailing for quite a while. Now hopefully I get a good visual of how to connect to this cable again, because like I said, it's a tight space. So this one's gonna slide up and in And this one, I guarantee is gonna fight me. So see how that gap, you're gonna pull the tension out of that gap in order to put this in properly. And I have a camera in my way, so I don't know how easy that's gonna be. I got the cable reconnected, and unfortunately I had to move the camera out of my way to do it because you are wrestling with it pretty good to get that to go in. But you can see I mangled the cover of the cable, which it's dry rotted, so whatever. But basically you got to grab the end here with needle nose pliers or any kind of pliers and pull that tension out, slide that barrel end in place, and then pull more tension out to be able to spin that cable back towards the back. And unfortunately, it's hard to show that with the little room I have to work with. This now goes back up inside like that. Then you push this forward to line back up with your door. Now we gotta bring the door back in close, carefully lifting everything, the jack and the door. Let's see if that lines up. Looks like it lines up. I can get these bolts started, hand snug, both of them. And you may have to move the door around again. There we go. To make sure that's true. They're hand tight, but I do want to show you one thing at the other end. To make sure that your cable, before you button things back up, make sure your cable is in this track here, because once you take everything apart, it wants to fall down here. Once you try to get the rollers hooked back up to the cable, you want to make sure that's in the track to give you the most slack as possible to be able to hook it back up. But now we've got the bolts in, and we are just gonna snug everything up. With that snugged up, we want to drop our jack stand bumps, and now the weight of that door is onto that hinge point again. Look at that. The true test will be the automatic feature. Look at this one, pulls and pushes by hand, perfect. So we're gonna go do that other side.
A few minutes later.
All right, this side was not broken like I said, but I still replaced it. Slide in perfect. It took me less than 5 minutes to do this side because I just did the other side and I knew all the tricks. So pro tip, when you're putting these cables back onto this roller bracket, keep it as close to the vehicle as possible to give you as much slack as possible. So you kind of have to hold the pliers very close to the vehicle in order to get it on there quickly and effectively. So that's the trick I learned, and it made it much easier on this side. So you know, like I said, protecting your paint, put some tape up here maybe so you're not hitting it with the pliers, put some tape down here so you're not hitting it with the bracket if you care about your paint, which obviously I do not. So now we're going to put these covers back on and the taillights back in the opposite way that we took them off. we're in the vehicle now, got it turned on, and we are going to test that right side first. This door has not opened for probably 6 or 7 months. I've been getting the house ready to move. Had to basically get it ready to sell, pack it, get it ready to move. Didn't have any time to work on any vehicle, so we just did without that door until I had time to work on it, and today was the day. It's so convenient having a door that works, let alone automatically. This one is a different story. The electronics for it has not worked in quite a while, so it doesn't open automatically no matter what I do. And I did try to work on that a couple of years ago. It didn't solve the problem, returned the part. So this door does not automatically open, but it does manually open. And now we have 2 doors, one automatic, one not automatic, but at least we can get in both sides again. Next up is the cabin filter, which again, it's tight quarters, so hopefully I can get good camera angles. It does catch a little bit because the locking mechanism a couple of years ago broke. Couldn't get it open, so I kind of had to break into it to be able to get it open. And ever since, something catches above, and I haven't quite found out what it is. I always take pretty much everything out of the glove box, or else it's going to spill. Now on each side of the glove box is a little clip. And again, it's hard to see, so you gotta support the weight of the glove box. And the clip pulls out and then turns in order to pull it out. That can stay in the glove box. And then there's one on this side too. They basically just support the sides. I just get something under it to pop it out. It's like a puzzle piece. You spin it until it comes out. Well, that fell off faster than I could show you, but basically there's a little end on here that pulls off, and then you can detach that support. That gains access to this compartment, which is inside of your dash. That houses your cabin filter. I'm trying my best to use 2 hands and work with the camera in here. So there's 2 clips here. You gotta, one on either side, you gotta push them in and pull this whole thing out. And that is your cabin filter. It doesn't look terribly dirty, but I know it's been at least 4 years since I changed it. I'm probably supposed to change it more often than that, but it is what it is. And here we have the new one. Cabin air filter. Contains activated carbon. Filters dust and pollen. Absorbs odor. Installs easily. This I got on Amazon. It is cheap. Basically looked up the last one I bought, the last time I replaced it, and it was not available. Found the next available one. Looks exactly the same. And it fits right in that housing, just like that. Slides right back into place. Right like that. Easy peasy. So this just slides on the end of that support. It's easier with 2 hands. Okay. And that keeps that added support. And last but not least, the easiest of all things to do is change the engine filter underneath this cover here. Just need a driver to get these 4 screws out of the corners. Oh, that one's broken. So it's 3 screws for me. Lift up on that housing, pull the filter out, and it's not really that dirty either, but it has been at least 4 years since I changed that too. And this is the new one right here. Also purchased on Amazon. It says it's better and stronger and effective. Flame retardant. Hopefully the engine doesn't catch on fire. Put that one right in, just like that. Housing seated back down, just like that, and that's awesome. When you drop tools, the bit fell out and landed down there. Let's see if I can see it. Voila. And that wraps up today's work on the van. Got the sliding door rollers replaced and 2 air filters replaced, so we are good to go. Hopefully nothing else breaks by the time we are driving from here to Tampa, Florida, because that is only a little over 2 weeks away. I'll put the links down in the description for where I got all of the parts on Amazon. And remember, time is everything. Money is a tool, and we can't afford to waste either one. Until next time, last act.